I once read an article in which somebody asked a bodybuilder why he put so much effort into his physique. Why, they asked, would you spend hours a day at the gym pumping iron? Why force feed yourself, then starve yourself just to look good on display? And he answered that his physique, or by which he meant his muscles, was something that only he could do for himself. He said, somebody else can make you rich, you can win a lottery. He said a lot of success in some ways is often just good luck. But he said, but a good body is something which only I can do for myself. Nobody else can do it for me. He said, you see someone with a good body and you know they worked hard for it. Well, that idea of something which only I can do for myself, that no one else can do for me, is actually the point of Jesus' curious parable we hear today about the 10 bridesmaids, 5 wise and 5 foolish. It's quite a striking parable because at first glance it seems strikingly un-Christian. Kids always pick this up, but they're not sharing. Why didn't the 5 with extra oil share with the 5 who didn't? That seems to a child the obvious right thing to do. But the point of the parable is that there is something which only I can do for myself. And if I'm one of the 5 bridesmaids, I can't ask one of the others to do it for me. I can't ask them for their oil because I'm meant to have the oil myself. Well, what does the oil, what does the lamp represent? And in fact, what it represents is wisdom. Wisdom is often personified or symbolized in the Old Testament by a lamp. And if you didn't know that already, then the hint is in the first reading we hear tonight. The first reading speaks about wisdom. And the first reading, when it's from the Old Testament, is always a background to the gospel. It's chosen deliberately for us to shed some light on the gospel for us. So if you're ever confused about a gospel here at Mass, go and read or listen to the first reading. It often has clues as to what angle the church invites us to take on any given gospel. So this is about wisdom. And the point of the parable is that wisdom is something that I have to gain for myself. Nobody else can gain wisdom for me. No one can give me my wisdom. I have to work on it. I have to pursue it. And wisdom, as we know, is something hard-earned. That wisdom is equated with virtue, and all virtue is hard-earned. It often comes from struggle, from failure, from times of pain. When we work out how to overcome those, we actually become wise. Because wisdom is nothing to do with IQ, nothing to do with the amount of degrees we have hanging on the wall, the amount of study we've done. Wisdom is about a lived experience, a lived capacity to understand myself and others in the world, and most particularly to understand myself in relationship to God. Wisdom in the Bible is about my relationship to God, and in the New Testament it's about my relationship to Jesus. Jesus is symbolized in this parable by the bridegroom, as he often is throughout the New Testament. The bridegroom is making his way, and we are all the bridesmaids who have to stay awake and be ready for his return. So that being ready for Jesus' return was something that people of the New Testament in Jesus' time were acutely aware of. They expected that Jesus was going to return and take them with him very soon. We know that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, but nonetheless, the virtue of wisdom remains for us to try to consistently live out our faith, to not give in, to not lose hope. And that, through the course of a lifetime, can be a hard thing to do. When difficult things happen to us, it can challenge our faith, it can knock us off our bearings. And then it's time for us to dig deep and seek the wisdom that comes from God, so I might be able to see all the experience of my life through the lens of my faith. Well, the bodybuilder in the article probably didn't realize at the time, he was probably a young man, but he didn't realize that he wasn't going to be able to keep that physique all his life. That at some stage in his 30s or in his 40s, whatever muscles he had were probably going to get smaller and weaker. But for us, with our virtue and our wisdom, that doesn't have to happen. Of course, virtue is something we grow stronger in. We gain wisdom throughout our entire life, and our relationship with God through Jesus should deepen. Our childhood faith that was good for us as a child is not sufficient for us as mature adults, and particularly not in old age. We are meant to grow wiser. We're meant to grow deeper in our relationship with Jesus. And so I invite you to take stock of where you're at in your life. If you are an older person, I invite you to look back and look at the ways in which you have held your faith that's brought you to this moment throughout your life. What were the turning points? What were the crisis points where you dug deep and you stayed with your faith that's brought you to now? If in your middle years like I am, we've also come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go. So it's worth us looking back to see what we've learnt, but also to look forward to say, God, what might you be calling me to, and how can I continue to stay the course? And if you're a younger person, then look forward with hope and know that you won't be able to do your life alone. Know that you will need Jesus Christ. You'll need the wisdom that comes from God to navigate a good life well. So look to people who are older and wiser and say, what can I perhaps learn from them? Is there someone I can go and ask for advice? Because the Bible says, ask advice of every wise person. So no matter where we're at in our life, young, middle age or old, we are all on a journey which will take us further, deeper in relationship and love with God. And that is what will make us truly wise right to the end.